Malign Portents. The price of Apotheosis. In the chamber of the broken world, a shattered soul writhed in the fires of Apotheosis. I fought. I died. I was reforged. How many times has this happened? I know it is by Sigmar's will, but it is too much to bear. An axe severed my spine, a maul caved in my skull, a blade pierced my heart. Am I being remade only to die again? The pain is too great. I don't know if I can. The metallic ring of the hammer blow resounded through the halls of the Sigma Bellarium. Outside the chamber, a dauntless sentinel listened to its soul-splitting peal. An enormous golden door stood between Cavastus' Seven Sense and the anvil of the Apotheosis, and through it he could hear the individual strikes of each of the 6 smiths. In his long years of duty, he had learned that their blows were slightly different in tone, and after each came different kinds of screams, as new parts of the reforged soul were shattered and made anew. As the deafening clang faded, the soul inside the chamber twitched with flickers of sentience. I fought. I was reforged. How has this happened? I know it is by Sigmar's will. I was taken from my tribe when the sorcerer lords came. They set my village ablaze, and I watched my people burn. I fought to the last. Maybe we could have won, but at the crucial hour, I was taken up, and another wave of sound, and with this hammer blow came new screams. Cavastus stood silently in the vast antechamber, his eyes fixed on the door ahead. He had experienced the reforging himself only once. Now he guarded this most sacred of chambers, whilst those who died in battle were given new life by the will of the God King. He remembered the unbearable physical and spiritual anguish, and he empathized with every Stormcast Eternal whose reforging he had witnessed. But he could not let pity interfere with his duty. He had to maintain his vigil over the chamber, watching for those who would reject Sigmar's gift. Inside the chamber, the screams ebbed once more, but another blow would soon come. I fought. I was reforged. It is by Sigmar's will. I last died in Shyish, in the land of endless death. We fought the legions of the great necromancer, that ancient enemy of the God King. We slew hundreds, but they came by the thousands, their corpse eyes staring as their hands ripped my flesh. I saw something in those eyes, something that... The screams were intensifying. Something was wrong. Cavastus had come to know well the cries that typically emanated from the chamber, but the changes in pitch told of different forms of pain. As body and spirit were sundered by the 6 smiths, these outpourings usually lessened, and in their place came the glorious crackle of lightning as the Stormcast Eternal was brought once more into being. But this reforged was still screaming. I fought. I died. It is by Sigmar's will. The dead looked at me, and I at them. Their flesh was charged. Their flesh was charred, their skin was melted, but I saw their faces amongst the shambling horde. I recognized them. I had seen them. Cavastus watched as the great golden door before him began to glow white-hot. Rivulets of lightning danced along its surface. He gripped the haft of his stave firmly. Something was wrong. Something was wrong with the reforging. Something was wrong with the reforged. I die by Sigmar's will. It is too much to bear. I recognized those wretched dead. I saw in their multitude the faces of my people. What horrors had they endured? What nightmare had I let befall them? Why would Sigmar send me to... Energy arced across the antechamber, lancing out from within the golden door with every agonized bellow. Cavastus steeled himself. The Stormcast within was resisting the reforging. I died. It is too much to bear. I could not strike my people, even as they tore me open. They hated me for abandoning them, for leaving them to... Sigmar, guide me, said Cavastus as he took his stance, readying himself to face the tempest of the tortured soul.
It is too much to bear. I did not choose to leave. The God King took me, but I cannot go on. My people need me.
The great door burst open in an explosion of light and thunder. White heat bore into Kavastus' eyes, blinding him momentarily, whilst waves of energy crashed into his armoured body. Electric pain shot through him, piercing his flesh and burning his soul, yet he stood his ground. He thrust his stave forward, and with a mighty shout, willed the magic of Azir through the arcane implement. An almighty crack sounded, as though two immense thunderheads had collided with one another, and as swiftly as it had emerged, the wild energy was blasted back through the golden doors. Where it blazed, a screaming spectre of blue and gold remained, and encased within it was the shattered soul of the Reforged, a lightning ghast. Kavastus beheld his quarry as it raced anarchically around the antechamber, and called out to it with the authority of the God King. "Halt!" Jagged tendrils of lightning shot forth from his stave, cutting a crackling path towards the Geist and ensnaring it in midair. The electric being screamed in agony and incomprehending fury, but the Azite magic only bound it tighter, condensing its erratic form evermore until it resembled that of a man. "Be still," Kavastus ordered, but the Geist thrashed against its arcane restraints. "Calm your soul," he bellowed. His demand was met with howls of tempestuous rage that echoed through the vast antechamber. "Your duty is not done." With this, Kavastus swung his stave, whipping the ensnared lightning Geist across the antechamber and through the great doors that led to the anvil of the Apotheosis. The doors slammed shut. Kavastus breathed heavily. After what seemed like an age, the hammering of the 6 smiths fell silent. There had been no more screaming after the first 100 or so blows. The anguished part of the reforged soul had been eradicated, discarded as unworkable scrap. Kavastus wondered how much of the warrior's humanity had been lost, but he cast these thoughts swiftly from his mind. If the reforged could once again fight in the God King's wars, then no cost was too great. The golden doors heaved open, and the reforged Stormcast strode forward. Kavastus looked upon this warrior, this wonder of Sigmar's creation. The reforged stared straight ahead, his eyes utterly devoid of emotion. He opened his lips and spoke the first words of his newly given life. "I died. I was reforged. It is by Sigmar's will."